This video is dedicated to the case management section of the administration widget. We're going to be talking about an overview of case management. What do I mean by that? Folders versus cases, case management in Quincy versus FTK. So let me hop into it. Before I actually start to talk too much about it, let me provide the disclaimer that the functionality in this area is rapidly evolving. So if in your version of Quincy you see more functionality than I've demoed here, you're simply a little bit farther along. I'm going to try to keep this video as current as possible, but there may be some lag between what you're seeing here and the functionality you have, and I apologize for that. So we're coming into the administrative widget. We go straight to cases. The first thing you will notice is that all the cases are listed here. The case ID is here. The size of the case, storage requirement if you will, is here. Users that have access and groups that have access. Relatively straightforward. So just from an overall view perspective, it should be pretty intuitive as to what this all means. However, it quickly gets a little bit more complicated when we look down the cases line. Oh, and actually before I do that, you can edit these things. So let's just quickly do that. This is all relatively simple stuff, and if you looked at the users or the groups videos or even the roles video, you'll be familiar with sort of how it works. You can come here, you can change the users that have access, you can change the groups that have access, and then you can go ahead and save that if you want, and now see the three users have access. So pretty straightforward stuff. But let's focus a little bit more on where it gets confusing. It gets confusing when you come down here in the cases view and you see that some are folders and not actual cases, and that they have no number next to them. They don't because, again, they're folders. But what is a folder? What does that mean? A folder has actually a number of different meanings. It has the traditional Windows Explorer meaning, in which it is a case that can hold, a folder, if you will, can hold other cases. So I can literally grab this small case, I'm left clicking right now, and I can drag it and put it in the Pinky folder. So let's do that. So you can see now, small phone is in the Pinky folder. Let's do small phone 2, do the same, drag it in. So both of the small phones are in the Pinky folder. So I can use folders as a way of organizing my cases, and you can have tiered folders and all that kind of stuff. It's really, in that sense, relative to Windows Explorer, a very familiar concept. Let's go ahead and create a folder in our folder. So you come right here, right click, new folder. Okay, took a little bit longer than I expected, but here is our new folder. It's always going to be called new folder, as it is in Windows Explorer. If I want to change its name, I just come here to the edit, and I'm going to call it subfolder, and save that. And there's our subfolder inside our Pinky folder. And then we can put cases in that as well. So far, so good. Extremely similar to Windows Explorer. Let me show you how this looks in FTK though, because as we know, Quincy and FTK are fundamentally integrated. So whatever I'm doing in Quincy is showing up in some respect in FTK. So let's go open up FTK and explore that. Okay, so here we are in FTK. And we remember we were in the Pinky folder and we had created the subfolder. So you can see immediately we have a DOS-like dynamic going on. These show up as cases. The only difference between a folder and a normal case is a folder ends with a dash or a backslash. If I were to come in here randomly and take a case and add a backslash, oh, excuse me, and then save that, and if I go back into Quincy, we're going to see that iPhone has become a folder. There you go. iPhone is now a folder. Now, iPhone is clearly not a folder. We should never do that, but that explains the concept of how Quincy, if you will, is interpreting things as cases versus folders. Let's go back to lab and change that again. Okay, there's one more important concept to understand about folders and how they interact with the system. And again, depending on your version of Quincy, this may be of no relevance to you at all. But if you have a version of Quincy that allows you to open multiple cases at a time, so like do this. When you click Get Cases, it's going to pop up this. You are entering multi-case mode. Do you want to select a parent case for bookmarks? The options it offers us are only the folders. Only the folders can be parent cases because only folders can hold bookmarks that point to more than one case. If I try to assign a bookmark, if I try to add an object to a bookmark in the Windows 10 case, but that object comes from the Samsung case, it will not work. It will say, no, I'm the Windows 10 case. My bookmarks can only contain objects from the Windows 10 case. The folders will not do that. They will gladly accept objects from multiple cases. And this is a very critical point, one you need to be aware of when using a version of Quincy that is in multi-case mode. So, if you're not in a version of Quincy that does that, it's easy peasy. They're just folders just like Windows Explorer, and I showed you how they interact with FTK. If you are in a multi-case mode enabled Quincy, then there is this added dynamic. You want to be smart about how you create folders. You want folders that are only going to really point to cases that are underneath them. Now, that's not a hard, fast rule. You can do all sorts of things, but if you start to get willy-nilly about it, you're going to lose track of the meaning of the folder, and it will be a big pain in the butt to manage. So that's that. That's case management and folders. Hopefully that was clear. Actually, let me touch on one more point. You can right-click. You can create new cases. There's a video on new cases, so I'm not going to explore that. And obviously you can create new folders. There will be very shortly a delete button for deleting cases and deleting folders as well, but that's not currently enabled. So that's that, and hopefully that is clear.